Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Daily Bolt with your host, Dr. Jeff Tilley. Today's topic: so, how old is your dog, really? Sit back and relax and enjoy today's Daily Bolt. So, Happy New Year 2020 to everyone who is listening here. And we have an interesting topic for today that comes to us from the world of veterinary medicine, genetics, and it's really goes back to the old adage about one dog year being equal to 7 human years. Meaning that if you have a 10-year-old dog, then they're definitely equivalent to a septuagenarian in terms of human terms. Nice linear formula, easy to apply. It's been around for practically forever. I don't know how long it's been around for. Where this formula came from, probably just from the average lifespan of many dogs, around 10 years, and humans around 70 years, although those have changed since the formula was first proposed and been put into common practice. Regardless, the formula has stuck, but there's really no science behind it. That now may change. Some recent work from the University of California in San Diego has been looking into dog aging as well as human aging. And one of the new concepts in aging research is that a person's DNA over their lifetime undergoes chemical modifications. The addition of what we call methyl groups. A methyl group is a combination of atoms where you have one carbon atom attached to 3 hydrogen atoms, or CH3 in terms of a chemical formula. That is one hydrogen atom short of the gas methane's chemical composition, methane being a greenhouse gas that has gained a lot more notoriety in the past few years in terms of its contribution to global warming processes and through the greenhouse effect. It's a greenhouse gas. CH3 is not a gas, but it is what we call a methyl group, and methyl groups are very common in many organic substances, and I mean many. Most living organisms have methyl groups one way or another. And apparently, what the University of California in San Diego has come up with is the fact that humans have modification to their DNA. More methyl groups are added to specific sequences as a person ages. And it basically can be used as an age estimate or even a prediction of life expectancy, given that these methyl group modifications, they're alkali groups, they appear to be related to when a person is sick, they have a poor lifestyle, genetics, and just the general aging process and how all this accumulates in terms of the toll on the human body. Now, humans are not the only species to undergo this process, which has been dubbed DNA methylation as they age. Mice, chimpanzee, wolves, and dogs all seem to have similar processes going on. And the research that has recently been done at UC San Diego has started looking at dogs to see exactly how the DNA methylation process occurs in dogs as they age, as opposed to humans. And obviously, this is a study that takes several years to come out, but they've studied enough dogs and they've studied enough humans so that we have in effect now a scientific relationship between the DNA methylation processes between dogs and humans. And this is fairly robust in a lot of ways because the dogs tested basically are those who live with humans in human environments, so they're exposed to the same environmental factors and forces. Obviously, they're not fed the same food, but there are many of the same proteins in dog food and carbohydrates and other compounds. Even if it's not exactly the same food, they do get exposed to many of the same substances, many of the same environmental factors. Now, dogs in the wild, this may be a different story, but for now, we're going to just deal with the dogs that you have in your houses as pets, because we're the ones who usually do the equating of a dog's age to a human's age. And so The study basically has focused on those. And it appears that all dogs, regardless of breed, follow similar developmental trajectories. They reach puberty around 10 months, and they usually don't have a lifespan more than about 18 or 19 years. Very few dogs live to the age of 20 or longer. And the most detailed testing of this DNA methylation process over dogs that have aged was done by the UC San Diego researchers with Labrador retrievers. And they looked at 104 dogs ranging from 4 weeks to 16 years of age, and they actually followed some of these over a period of time. And they found that certain groups of genes that are involved in the development are the ones that are methylated in both species, in humans and dogs. And that means we can come up with a really robust relationship. And this study has been posted online at a journal called bioRxiv. I don't know how robust it is, but nonetheless, the results are kind of intriguing, because what it really suggests is that the processes are not linear. And in particular, the relationship between dog age and human age, in terms of where they are in terms of the developmental process, is definitely not linear. It's logarithmic. And so there's an actual formula that a dog's human age roughly equates to 16 times the natural logarithm of the dog age plus 31. So, for example, if you have a dog that is 10 years old, you end up getting the equivalent of a 10-year-old dog. Sorry, I had to pause there for small cough. But if you have a 10-year-old dog, it equates to a human that's about 67.8 years old. And that's close to 70, it's close to the 7 years. But on the other hand, if you look at a different dog age, a 1-year-old dog, it's equivalent to a 31-year-old human. That is definitely not 1 to 7, that's 1 to 31. So this gives you an idea of the logarithmic nature of the process, in which case basically the methylation that occurs actually slows down, the curve gets slower, and it becomes closer to the 1 to 7 relationship the older the dog gets. And if you want to take the other extreme, a 16-year-old dog is actually about 75.4 years old. That is less than a 1 to 7 ratio. So you can get the idea. A 1-year-old dog is equivalent to a 31-year-old human. A 10-year-old, 60, almost 68, 16, 75. It's almost linear from 10 to 16. 1 to 1. So it slows down a lot. And so dogs that are young actually are older in human terms, based on this DNA methylation process, than we had previously thought. And so that's a very interesting result, and one that goes completely against this conventional formula. If you want to find this dog age calculator, right now there's one that's embedded into the AAAS, American Association for the Advancement of Science website, which has this article, but it would not surprise me if before too much longer you'll be able to Google dog age calculator and you'll get something with this formula, 16, the natural logarithm of the dog age, plus 31, embedded within the calculation. So there's some food for thought the next time that you pet Fido. He might be older than you think. That's all for this edition of the Daily Bolt. I'm Dr. Jeff Tilling. Have a happy new year, and we'll see you as we go on in 2020.